Welcome back to Great Day Houston, our relationship show. Okay, so in the first few months of dating, everything is fantastic. You just know you found your soulmate. Or is he a psychopath or she a sociopath who's grooming you for the fall? Joining us with the science to look for is Dr. Darrel Turner, a forensic psychologist. Hi. Okay. You are a psychologist for a high security prison, so you saw the best of the best in this area.
The best of the best or the worst of the worst, right?
Yeah. So oftentimes, somebody who's like a serial killer, for example, or something, is what we call a psychopath or sociopath. And what's the difference between those two, by the way?
Well, some people ascribe differences to them. A sociopath gets along better in society than a psychopath. A psychopath tends to be more of a criminal-minded person. But I kind of use them interchangeably. In fact, I don't really use sociopath. When I testify, I just kind of stick with one.
Yeah.
And so to me, they're just kind of interchangeable, and I just use the term psychopath.
And not every psychopath is going to be a criminal.
Of course. There's some that are going to be quite successful in business. There's a whole area of study about psychopaths who are in white-collar jobs. Politics, absolutely. Not naming names.
Yeah.
Sure, boardroom CEOs, people that are willing to step on other people and crush some people along the way to get to the top.
Without remorse.
Without remorse, right. Sleep just fine at night.
Yeah, okay, let's go through some of the personality traits of a psychopath. Overconfident.
Right, overconfident. So, and as we say these things, so you and I were talking before we started, as we say these things, we should throw out that people are going to start diagnosing themselves and their spouses and everybody, when we say these things. You have to meet a certain amount of these, and they have to really create problems. Some people are overconfident, some people maybe.
But that can be attractive sometimes. In a relationship, you go, oh, this person really knows what they're doing.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So everyone that's overconfident or charming is not necessarily a psychopath. If you have a lot of these traits, then it starts to worry. But sure, so they're overconfident because they are obsessed with themselves.
Narcissist?
They're very much narcissists. There's a huge element of narcissism along with psychopathy.
Yeah, okay. The unsympathetic toward others, and this one really gets a lot of us in relationships, the superficial charm.
Right. And see, that's what you're talking about, sort of the honeymoon. It comes on very, very heavy. The superficial charm, it can be a lot of buying gifts and a lot of compliments, and you're the best thing that's ever happened.
They listen to what you say. It's like, oh, your last relationship, that person didn't get you this, and all of a sudden there it is. It shows up, right?
Well, they're master manipulators. So yeah, they're listening and they're locking it all away.
Yeah.
Because they're learning what your buttons are and what your weak spots are.
Prone to lying, even when the lie doesn't even matter.
Right. This is one that's a good sign for someone that they are might be in a relationship with a psychopath. Is that person when you're in public and you're in mixed company, are they telling stories that you were there when it happened, and they're clearly telling something that didn't happen?
It's like, we were not in Paris. What are you talking about?
Exactly. Yeah. So you pick up on this lying even when it doesn't make sense. Even when there seems to be nothing to gain by lying. It's just that almost
grandiose
just becomes,
stories.
Sure, it just comes as easily as telling the truth, if not easier.
Yeah, okay, and they can become aggressive quickly. Is that a part of not being able to deal with emotions, or especially when they're called on the carpet on something? The best way to deal with it is to push you away?
Right, to push you away and to devalue you. So as soon as you call them on a lie, for example, they'll be very quick to come up with another lie. I mean, that's what, they're very verbally facile, and they'll worm their way out of it pretty quickly. But they'll also devalue you, because if you're not worshiping them, then you don't have much value yourself, right? Because if you're not seeing how great they are, then you must not be that special of a person after all.
Yeah,
right?
All right. So we talked about how most of the relationships start off that honeymoon period, but the difference between one that's with a psychopath or not is that things can fall apart very quickly, and just like all of a sudden it's complete opposite day. Like when you were a queen before or a king before, all of a sudden they can be manipulative and try to control your behavior, when before your behavior was perfect. Right.
Yeah, so there's going to be, they're going to mind their P's and Q's at the start, because they want you to lower your defenses, and they want you to think that you're safe and that everything's fine.
They need to get you invested.
Right. But the problem is the emotions of a psychopath are about, if you think about like a pool, they're very much on like in the kiddie pool, like the shallow end of the pool.
Yeah.
And so as a normal relationship progresses and gets past that honeymoon phase, you get into the deeper end of the pool, and you start to share more, and you experience life together, and it's well, let's talk about your issues and my issues. There's none of that reciprocation.
It's almost like they have
with
a script.
psychopath.
They're sticking to it.
Exactly.
And that script doesn't change.
Exactly.
All right. I love this comparison. They're basically a human tornado.
Yeah, so that's, one way that they've been described to me in dealing with people, and then just in my own experience clinically. It's like they blow into your life and they blow out of your life, and everything is turned upside down.
Yeah, they pit people against one another.
Sure.
They wreck lives, and they attack pre-existing relationships because they don't want anybody around who will say, that guy's probably not good for you, or that girl's probably not good for you.
Exactly.
They don't want anybody around pointing those things out. And when they isolate you is when you start to question yourself and you become weaker.
That's right. And you really kind of become, that person, that psychopath becomes the only frame of reference that you have. If they can successfully isolate you from friends, family, and they'll do that, it's called triangulation is the clinical term, but they're basically pitting you against people that you were close to, and that so if you start to see your other relationships falling by the wayside, you ask yourself, why is that happening?
Yeah, we see that a lot in cases of domestic violence too, right?
Sure.
Okay, so who are psychopaths attracted to? And they kind of have both ends of the spectrum, don't they?
Yeah, they do, because sometimes, and in a lot of cases, we'll see psychopaths tend to go after more insecure people. So if the psychopath is a man, he'll go after a woman who is more very dependent in nature, maybe not
doesn't have money, maybe has
Sure.
obligations like children to take care of.
Right, doesn't necessarily have a good sense of identity of who she is or to stand on her own. So she kind of leans on this person that's larger than
that
life.
way when he says, "You're so pretty," it's
right?
like, wow,
it means so much.
Yeah.
But then the converse is true. So the other end of the spectrum is it's almost like how high up in society can I go? Like, what kind of notches can I put on my belt that I was able to get someone with money or, someone well known.
I must be
in the
lovable and
community.
desirable because I got that person.
Of course.
Right?
And that this raises, by association, because I'm with this person who might be famous or wealthy or whatever, then I'm viewed by others with those qualities as well.
Yeah, examples of these relationships, Jordan Belfort, The Wolf of Wall Street, and Ted Bundy.
Yeah, of course. So they're both psychopaths. One of them is a sexual predator, and one of them is not, just a financial schemer, Ponzi kind of guy. But they're both psychopaths. They both have those traits. So
let me ask you this: how do you get out of a relationship with a psychopath? First of all, don't get in one. Hopefully, right? But how do you get out?
Well, the scary thing about that is the better a person is at being a psychopath, the less likely you are to notice that they're a psychopath until you're already in and you're already deep. I would say the best way to get out of a relationship with a psychopath is to do it very carefully. They are prone to anger. And if they feel like they left a relationship, right, then there's going to be sometimes a need to kind of make up for that. So I would say if you have concerns, if you're listening to this and you're going, oh my gosh, I'm ticking way more boxes than I should be ticking, I would say a total and a complete break. Don't do it slowly over time. Don't allow them
to manipulate you
any more tornado damage in your life.
The Witness Protection Program. All right. Dr. Turner, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's always nice to see you.
Yeah.
All right.